Sup, I wanted to create a tutorial for anyone who wants to learn a new skill or get into a business but doesn't really like, if you have questions like, oh shit, where do I start? That's the video that will probably resolve most of your questions. So the key framework the key like pattern I want to tell is avoid shovel sellers. Now, shovel sellers are the people who are like, they're not doing what they're preaching, like some guys that they say how to do I don't know, how to do sales, but they never did any selling themselves. So on the first notes, let's talk about some of my backstory. So the first time I started my business, it was a thing called it's like, it was a fucking dropshipping business, bro. It was fucking cringe, and I've heard some advice, because that's the first time I actually did anything productive in my life, and the first thing it's the first time I've actually attempted to do any sort of business. So I found online that like, I was literally googling like, bro, how do I make money online? I've literally typed into YouTube, and I've typed into like, how to make money for a teenager or some bullshit, or for a student or something. Yeah, and the results that gotten me there, those were nothing practical, and there was everything like, bro, they were giving like good, like, they were basically what they were giving tips and tricks. The shovel sellers. Why do I call them shovel sellers? Because there was a time during gold rush, and the people who gold rush, it was basically when Americans they tried to find gold in rivers or something like that. The people who tried to the people who sold shovels and sold pickaxes did the most money out of it. And the same with, say, dropshipping business. Mostly people who are making the money out of dropshipping business are not who are making dropshipping business, or well, maybe some do, but most people who are making like money out of dropshipping business, or like people like Iman Gadzi, they're not making their money out of the, I don't know, the SMM or some other bullshit. They're making money out of selling courses, right? So I want to give a principal antidote from it. So yeah, I've said that I've started my like first business. It was a dropshipping business, and I've googled it. That's I've searched online, how the fuck do I do that business without failing, and I found no good advice. It is pretty strange for me that you kind of look online, right? It's kind of logical, right? You look, maybe you've been there yourself. You look into YouTube, you look into Google, but you can find no sound advice on how to proceed. The only thing you find is, some tips and tricks from YouTubers who just, they give no structured information. So, here I wanted to teach to avoid two things, and I want to go for other two things. So you should avoid shovel sellers, etc., and you should go for and you should also avoid tips and tricks, because those tips and tricks, you're probably know that already. They won't give you much information. But now here, what you should go for. It took me a lot of time to realize this. It took me almost a year in trying to do business, actually even more. It took me almost a year in doing different sorts of business. I did a startup, I did a dropshipping business. Yeah, I did. I actually learned programming in that time. I've been trying different businesses and a way to make money, and the thing I've realized only a year later is that the only information you need is actually in the books. Sounds boring, maybe, for some of you who don't read books yet. And so if you're that kind of guy who doesn't read books yet, bro, here's the thing. Anything I found online, they are, I'm currently reading a book that's called Expert Secrets. And this book basically teaches you about how to be that kind of expert, how to be that kind of a movement leader, how to sell information products, right? And what this guy basically tells you, it might be just a warning for you, because a lot of people do that. So your core task is to create a framework. Like, I'm just telling how those guys work. They create some sort of a framework, sort of knowledge. And what they do in their videos, in their podcasts, in their like kind of mini blogs, they just give a small part of that framework. Maybe they give advice, maybe they give their stories, right? But they always try tie it to their product, and they always tie it to their, to what they're selling. And what it does, that if you watch thousands of those videos, the only thing you usually will find like 4 to 5 messages that actually do some work, but you will never be able to get it into a big picture. Now, the books, here's the different thing. It's something about the human psychology, I don't know, maybe. But when the person actually tries to write a book, they try to lay down everything there. If you read right kind of books, and I'm gonna tell you how exactly to find those ones. If you read the right kind of books, that good people, that successful men, who actually do what they preach. Like, for example, for me, it's Russell Brunson. It's one of my personal favorites, right? Russell Brunson and his .com secrets, his expert secrets and traffic secrets. Those books are great. You should read them. Yeah. If they do what they preach, if they actually try to, like me, right? I actually do what I preach. I've yesterday recorded a video about how to create a how to structure deep thinking. Guess what? Just literally a minute before that, I've done this process of deep thinking on how you will structure your video, how you will, I was doing that. I was doing that process of thinking. You should watch it. I think for me that concept is really fascinating. So you should. So I've said that I will give you advice on how to, what kind of books to read. So, read books that usually are written by big men. Usually like men who earn a lot at that point, right? They're not selling their they're not selling their course or something. They actually getting money from the business that they earn. It might be, Russell Brunson. It might be Tim Ferriss. It might be Cal Newport. He has some great books, Deep Work, for example, that I mentioned yesterday. Read the kind of men who it's like kind of obvious, right? But don't go for the guys who are screaming at you and saying, "Hey, this is the best framework ever. Buy from me, right?" No, you should go for specific stuff. Now, read books which give you structural information. Now, I will just give you 2 or 3 books, and you will immediately understand. If you read through them, you will immediately understand what I'm talking about. Now, if you have a notebook somewhere, just go and if you maybe note them on the paper or note them on the note it somewhere. So 3 books. First, The Lean Startup. The Lean Startup. It's the book that tells you about the. It's about making product in startups, but it also gives you for maybe more traditional business. If you don't want to go for startups, if you want to just go for maybe YouTube channel, maybe you want to go for for your own business, it gives you frameworks how to innovate, and it gives you frameworks on. It actually gives you great advice on how to structure your innovation and your experiments. You will get what I'm talking about. It's a great book. Just go and read through it. Now, the next 2 books I really want you to read are .com Secrets and it's called .com Secrets and Traffic Secrets. Expert Secrets. Yeah, it's like a trilogy. It was written by one man, but they basically tell about They tell about kind of same stuff about funnels, right? It's how you basically sell stuff to people, bro. It's amazing. It's amazing what funnels can do. Like, if you know YouTubers, right? YouTubers don't make most of their money through the videos, right? I don't, because I'm a starting guy. But if you do actually want to become a YouTuber, most YouTubers don't get money from selling, don't get money from YouTube, right? Don't get money from actual videos. It's like 25% of their income. I've heard about it. The other 75% comes from selling courses, selling information products, selling all of that. It comes from for usual business, right? It gives you a way to acquire new customers so easily and so cheap you wouldn't even fucking believe it. It's amazing. It's like it's kind of three books, right? But but they're kind of a one book, right? You'll just get what I'm talking about. And the third book that I want to read, I want you to read, is Deep Work by Cal Newport. Now, this book basically tells you about how to. I personally been there myself. Well, in 90 minutes, you will do more work than if you would do than most people do in a day. In 90 minutes, in just a short framework, in short time, you will do more work than most people do in a day. It's fascinating, right? If you're currently university students, you will mention it. Oh shit, it's slow as fuck. If you're currently university student, if you're learning, if you're doing something, holy shit. Right. If you're just again with reading books, the book is also telling you how to study better. It's like not just study, but read through books and read through information. Maybe it's also a really good book to just start reading books, because it gives you like a framework to read and framework to kind of think through information, right? Read that book. So I think it's called, the first one it's Secret Trilogy, the other one Deep Work, and the first one was something. Oh shit, whatever. You'll find those books. You can just scroll back. So now, again with reading. So you should really, the topic of this video, avoid child sellers and avoid people who are giving you tips and tricks instead of good information, but instead of that you should go for structural information and books. The other way you can actually get information from that you actually need can be courses. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Most of those courses are also a cut-off framework from books, but I would say I would look at it that way. For example, I learned programming, right? I was a programmer, or maybe I even would be at some point. I hope I don't, but whatever. I learned programming through courses, and courses are great if you need to get some sort of information. For example, like some sort of very specified skill. I would give you an example. Say programming. I learned sales in courses. I learned a bit of marketing in courses. So if you need some very defined skill, bro, the courses are the way to go. And yeah, the last thing I want to note on is, it's not only me. I know a lot of guys. I've personally coached a lot of coached a couple of guys. I would just say that if you're not reading for at least 1 hour a day, you're missing on so much information. Like I'm doing this video only because I've started to read books. If I never started to read books, I would never record this video, because some books have given me like structural information. How should I bro, shut the fuck up and read books, and read them for at least 1 hour a day. The book Deep Work and the 4-Hour Work Week, also 4-Hour Work Week, the other book, right? They will give you a overview on how to work less but work much more efficiently, effectively as well, effectively and efficiently. So try to work. If you are a student like me, if you are a businessman who is just starting, even if you are maybe you are a businessman who is like already at some point of success, read books, try to work less, but feel the other, like if you can work like 4 to 3 hours a day, and then if you can give yourself like 6 to 8 hours of reading, you will become top 1% so fast you wouldn't even believe it. So start reading books, start taking courses, and stop watching people who are giving you false advice, who maybe themselves don't know shit. That's what I wanted to say in the video. Do the hard work, especially if you don't feel like it. And yeah, bro. See you next. I hope.